Oh yes, my name is Nick Shell, and I want to give you an illustration, a visual of what Norwood 3 looks like. If you are experiencing hair loss and you want to understand, am I Norwood 3? Well, I have officially been diagnosed as Norwood 3 by professionals who would know what Norwood 3 looks like as far as my hair loss goes. Now, from here, it doesn't really look that bad. I mean, my hair is long enough to where you can't tell. It's not obvious to a non-professional. What you see is a guy who appears to have normal, kind of a little bit messy looking hair. But to an expert, they're going to know that I'm a Norwood 3. Now, before I demonstrate, let me just do kind of a turnaround here, give you an idea of what this looks like. There's my back. That's starting to thin a little bit. The top is starting to thin a little bit. All right, so there we go. So from a first glance, it doesn't look that bad. Honestly, it doesn't. By the way, I'm 35 years old, and this is probably pretty normal for a 35-year-old guy to have Norwood 3 going on the hair loss scale. All right, so now that I've kind of given you a glimpse of that, again, I do have some thinning here, and pretty much on top, it's already definitely thinning. Not obvious, and remember, most people in the real world see me like this. They just see, yep, there's Nick. Yeah, what about his hair? What? Like, that's what most people would, pretty much anyone would say. Now, let's do some heavy lifting. This is the reality of my hairline. So from the side, this is what I look like. And from this side, this is what I look like. From the front, this is what I look like. The way I sort of look at myself as a Norwood 3 is that undeniably I have what we would call a peninsula right here. I don't have an island, it's not disconnected, but I've got a peninsula here. You can see the letter V, or if you want to, you can look at the letter M. But you know, what once started as corners here with a 90-degree angle or whatever, it's dissolving, and it's just going back and back and back. So in reality, that's what my hairline looks like. So if I get my hair cut really short, it'll make it obvious. But as long as I keep, honestly, about an inch and a half on the length, it's going to fall over. Look at that, how awful that looks. But it'll fall over to where it'll make things more like this, where it makes it look like it exposes the fact I've got a taller forehead. But as long as I've got an inch of hair, it's going to hide that fact. Now, I'm keeping it this way just to further illustrate what this Norwood 3 is all about. Now, clearly, as you saw in the beginning of this video, I can pull off a messy haircut. I can pull off a haircut where it's an inch and a half or more. Once it gets longer than it is now, then it just becomes too iffy and too much of a mess and too much maintenance. But pretty much between an inch and a half and up to about probably 3.5 inches, you still can do some things with it there. Okay, so, and I just want to give you one more side view. All right, so not too bad for a 35-year-old guy. I mean, I'm fine with it. But I will say that definitely, by the time you get to Norwood 3, you start getting to this point where you're like, should I just buzz it all off? And here's why people with the Norwood 3 say that and think that internally, and I think it's completely natural if that's what you're going through. It's because you realize that your hairstyle is ultimately dictated by your hairline. If you're Norwood 2 or 1, you can still get away with most haircuts. But with Norwood 3, certain things become obvious. I mean, something that really bothers me, even though I don't look at it, I know that like the back just kind of falls flat. And again, on a bad day, that's just very obvious right there. So it's one of those things where, like, being 35 years old, I didn't have to experience major hair loss at age 20. You know, I didn't have to go through all that. Like, people who do that are just going to speed through the process. For me, it's kind of like you're left in this purgatory, because I think probably at age 29 was the first time I started noticing that I was veering into the territory of Norwood 3, to where I would have, that island, or not the island, but what do you call it, the peninsula. I'd have the peninsula, which would eventually become the island, is what I'm trying to say. Once I lose this part, then I'm going to be going into Norwood 4. But at this point, like, psychologically, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I accept it, and maybe I'll still have this much hair when I'm 40, in a couple of years. Maybe I won't. But really, I'm happy with just buzzing it off at this point. I've accepted it. But it's like this tease. It's like this, like I said, purgatory, where like, yeah, you still have hair, and if you mention to anyone, yeah, I'm starting to lose my hair, they're like, what are you talking about? You got nothing to worry about. And then they'll talk about someone else who's younger than you, who has less hair than you. So like, no one takes you seriously when you have Norwood 3, even though psychologically you have to process a lot here, because like what your hair looks like underneath that, that. But no one will have compassion for you at all. They'll actually tell you, you got nothing to worry about. On a bad hair day, it'll be very obvious to you, and you'll think more about it than you should. So this is a glimpse into what Norwood 3 looks like. Is it the end of the world? Absolutely not. But I think it definitely propels you to look forward to what you're going to do about Norwood 4 when you get there, whenever that may be. And I'm not anxious about it. But like I said, it makes it easy to think, why don't I just buzz my head again? Just do that and be done with it and not worry about it. So if you think you are, or if you definitely are a Norwood 3 like I am, then I'm probably said out loud some things you've been thinking. This is hopefully the natural thoughts you think of, and it's not a bad thing. It's nothing shameful. It's just Norwood 3. It's that awkward transition between the beginning of hair loss and major hair loss. It's just right in between. If I could stay this way for the rest of my life, I would have more hair than most men for the rest of their life by the time I'm, 50, 60, 70. Probably not gonna happen though. Probably gonna keep going up the Norwood scale, and as I do, I'll just buzz it off. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm like, man, what's the point? But what I want to leave you with is this fact that certain people never even really camp out at Norwood 3 very long before they're further up the chart, and they're balder by their early 20s. So it's like, and I have compassion for people who have had to suffer through that and go through that and deal with that. But at the same time, no one has compassion for a guy like me, age 35, Norwood 3. They're like, yeah, that's about what people look like at age 35 if they're a male. Like, no one feels bad or has compassion, and that's fine. I'm not looking for that. But I'm saying that if you are like me and you're in Norwood 3, I understand how you feel, and I have compassion for you. And it's an awkward limbo, and really at this point we need to just go ahead and plan our future. What are you going to do? Are you going to buzz it like I'm going to do as it gets worse? Or are you going to get a hair transplant? Are you going to use Rogaine? What are you going to do? So that's a look into the life of an official Norwood 3. My name is Nick Shell, and I have both brains and brawn.